Hello, everybody, and welcome to Late Night Football. Yes, we're not doing a Premier League preview or review show. We're actually doing something different this time. We're actually reviewing another competition. We're talking about the Champions League that has come back, that has returned. And we had our first games, and we're here to talk about that or rant about that, depending on which club you follow. But anyway, joining me on this show, we've got Gaurav back again. Gaurav, welcome to the show.
Yeah, it's good to be back here, Rohit.
Yes, and we also got Nishikant joining. Nishikant, welcome as well.
Thanks, man. Thanks for having me again.
Yeah, I think we're like, I think for those who remember the old ESPN Star Sports, I guess I would be John Dykes or Andrew Leslie. That would make Gaurav Shabby Singh, and that would make you Steve McMahon, I guess.
Nishikant, yeah, so basically you should make it late night football with Nishikant and Gaurav.
Yeah, I think we'll have to do that. And then you get and then sometimes you get the Sasi Kumars or you get the other guys, the Paul Parkers and all those
guest appearance.
Yeah. Yes, those guys. Yeah. Anyway, I know a little bit of a throwback there. But anyway, all right, let's start. Let's start with the first game. Let's start with United against Young Boys. Because that was an interesting game to watch as
did not expect that.
I don't think anybody. Well, I mean, I'm obviously always pessimistic, so nothing is ever unexpected for me. In terms of the way United go to lose. But I mean, let's get a non-United fan perspective on this. Nishikant, what do you think of the team selections and just selection and the substitution? Because I mean, I know there's a lot of talk about that, and I don't know if you watched the game, but I don't know if you got an idea of that. But what do you make of maybe the selections or the substitutions?
Well, Ole has never been very good with substitutions, right? Some managers like Jose Mourinho, their substitution changes the game. Ole has never been particularly good with that. So that's probably an area he needs to improve. I can't comment much on selection because I don't really know. I know United fans have an opinion on who should be selected and what, but I don't watch the United games that often to understand what players are currently in form and who should be selected. So I can't say much on the selection, but definitely this was not a game that United should have lost, right? And I think even with 10 men, United could have done a bit more than just sitting back.
Yeah.
So
no, I understand that. I mean, we don't have a United fan to talk about it, but if you ask me, what I thought. So basically, I thought the selection was the initial team selection was wrong. But I think that's just because when you think about it,
who do you think should have been there?
Well, I think the thing is they were playing the fourth team in the group, right? And I think Oli kind of thought that if I don't give my fringe players a start in this game, I'm not going to be able to play them for a while. So I think he kind of played the team and not the occasion. And he underestimated them. I think Varane should have started, and I mean, if you're going to play, he should have started. I think the only reason Lindelof and Donny started,
that I would agree.
Yeah, and I don't mind Donny.
I mean,
because it's the first. It's like Arsenal against Brentford, right? You're playing against a team that has been not playing in this competition for a long time. You're playing them at home. They're going to be up for it. You don't want to take chances, and I think he just kind of thought, I'll give Donny a game. I'll give Lindelof. It's young boys, they'll be good enough. But I think this is the first game you kind of play the team that you play. I thought his substitution, this is a very unpopular opinion. I know I might, if this channel was popular, we might get stick for it. I might get stick for it, but I thought his substitutions actually made sense from the point of what he was trying to do. And I could see what he was trying to do. And now you could argue that what he was trying to do is probably not what United should have done. But from what he was trying to do, I think every substitution made sense to me, except perhaps Martial. But even I can kind of justify that at the end as well. Because Sancho was bad. So you got to take him off when, wan-Bissaka goes off. You need a right back, you take him off. If you're going to play a back three, the obvious sacrifice is Donny van de Beek. And you have to go to a back three because Ronaldo, Bruno, they're not going to play wide. And you can't trust Pogba to play wide in the midfield too. So you've got to, the fullbacks were the ones who had to give the width if they needed it. So, you've got to go to a back three. So you've got to take up Donny, unfortunately. I thought Ronaldo was getting tired. I don't know, you guys probably didn't see the game, but there was a chance in the second half when Ronaldo should have scored and he instead went down for a penalty. His legs were going. So you had to take him off. He could have brought on Greenwood, but I think he just wanted Lingard to give them, because Lingard also does a bit of defensive work, and so he brought in Lingard. I think Bruno coming off was because Fred was getting overrun, so he had to bring on a CDM. He's only got Matic, so he's got to bring him on. I think the only one that was probably Martial, but I think at the end, you generally do see managers sometimes put on a striker, like maybe, the other team will get tired, maybe there'll be a chance, and if Martial scores, it's good for his confidence. I don't think it mattered much anyway. But if Lingard hadn't made that mistake, which Gaurav, I mean, this is the thing that we talk about Lingard. Again, he should be able to play as a central midfielder. I mean, it's a midfield three. He should be able to do it. I mean, it's just, I was laughing at the end. I was just laughing because I was like, how is he doing that? But I mean, if he hadn't done that, we'd probably be saying, okay, United did well to get a point, but he makes that mistake at the end. Is it just the fact that the player is, is that what holds Lingard back from being, a good player? I mean, he's a decent player, but are those moments like that which hold him back from being a good player? Just that awareness and that understanding of the game.
Yeah, I mean, he's a good player, right?
Yes.
Okay.
I think so, yes. A couple of years ago, maybe 4 or 5 years ago, if he made that mistake, you could have chalked it off saying, no, he's a young player, but he's not anymore, right? He's 28, I think.
Is it 29? I think 29.
28, 29, yeah.
I think he's been 28 for a long time, but yeah, I think
yeah. So definitely, and also I think he hasn't been playing regularly. So maybe, you get that lack of confidence and concentration as well. You make these kind of mistakes when you're not playing regularly. And even then, I don't think that shouldn't happen at all. So,
yeah, no, that doesn't happen. Yeah, Nishikant, you were saying before we.
Yeah, no, I was saying that, Lingard is a good player, but is he a player that is at the level of playing for Manchester United? Right. That is one thing. And I agree with Gaurav's point, right? And yours as well, that, regardless of which team you're playing in Champions League, it's not a League Cup, third round game where you're playing a second division or a third division team, right? If a team has qualified for Champions League, then they are definitely better than, every team in their, most of the teams in their country, or in some cases, every team in their country, like in case of young boys. So you shouldn't drastically overwhelm your team by changing everyone and just bringing in fringe players, because the problem there is, like Gaurav said, fringe players, they probably haven't played the games, too many games. They don't have that kind of match fitness in their legs, right? Not enough games in their legs. So that shows.
Yeah.
Right. Had it been a team like a Middlesbrough or Portsmouth from some either Champions League, championship, or a league, some third division from England, that's a different scenario altogether, right? And if you look at Chelsea, what Thomas Tuchel did, even though we were playing supposedly one of the weaker teams in the group, right, Zenit, but he didn't go about completely bringing in players who have never played the game, right? And that's what I've seen even managers like Jose Mourinho, etc., doing, right? They if it's Champions League, yeah, I mean, it's a good occasion to maybe bring a couple of players who haven't played, but don't overwhelm things, right?
He only made 2 changes.
Yeah, but it was Varane. Right?
Yeah, Varane and Greenwood didn't play. No, but the thing is, I just no.
Yeah, so Greenwood, I think, did play Newcastle game as well, right? Because
I think this kind of shows an inexperience from the manager. I mean, you don't play your French players in the first game of the
that's what it was. If this was Villarreal or Atalanta, he would not have made those changes. It's because he was playing Basel, because he realizes that this is the games where he can rotate, so he's got to rotate. So he brings in, but if this was a third or fourth game of the group stage, it wouldn't be a problem, because you've already got a couple of games out of the way. This is the first home game for the opposition team in a long time. You should always be careful when you make changes in a game.
Also, there's a League Cup game next week as well, I think, midweek.
Yeah, but that's West Ham. So again, I don't know if he'll be able to make too many changes for that either.
Yeah, I mean, West Ham you should, because they are actually playing quite well.
Yeah. So I mean, anyway, we'll see. But anyway, let's move on. I mean, we don't want to take too much time with that, because there's so many other teams to talk about. But the only good thing for United is that Atalanta and Villarreal drew with each other. So at least it's not like a 3-point gap. I mean, there's still 3 points to Basel, but at least the 2 other teams that theoretically will be in contention for those 2 spots, they are not too far off. So at least that is a good thing. But I mean, who knows? Maybe Basel will pull out a surprise and actually qualify for the
Basel are actually a very
young boys. I keep saying Basel, they're actually young boys. I keep saying Basel, young boys.
I thought even Basel was in here.
Yeah, well, they're both Swiss clubs, so I keep getting confused. But yes, young boys, they might very well, who knows, surprises and qualify for that. But anyway, let's move on to Chelsea against Zenit. I think that was another good game. that we saw. It was good in the sense it was 1-0. I mean, I actually watched the game, Nishikant. So, Lukaku scored a goal, which is obviously a great thing, which is what he does. He scores against small teams. Not much thing there. But no, with Lukaku doing what he does, I think it's so far it's looking like money well spent. 100 million pounds. Looks like
so far, yeah. So far, it looks like money well spent. But Zenit played really well. They made it really, really tough for us. And our passing in the final third, if you look at Mount or Ziyech, right? So our passing was pretty poor, and I don't. It wasn't like we had spaces and we made passes, but we couldn't really pull it off. But Zenit was playing really well. They were pressing it pretty well. They had that low block, closing the angles and the passing lane pretty well. So they made it really, really tough for us. And none of the players we have, in the mold of let's say Cesc Fabregas, who could, break the line, even with the most minutest of gaps, right? So that's where we suffered. But yeah, that shows what, having a proper number 9, a good finisher can do. Because all Lukaku got was one proper chance, and he buried it, right? So that's the difference from last season, and I think that's something that Chelsea fans can certainly. It would give them a lot of hope that for good things for this season, because we have that Drogba or Costa like striker who needs one chance and he would bury it, If it were last season and we had, let's say, a Timo or a Kai Havertz playing up front, it would have been impossible to win this game. I don't see us winning this game. It would probably resulted in a 1-0 loss or a 0-0 draw, right? But thanks to Lukaku, he got a chance and scored one.
I don't know. I think it would be a little bit harsh there to say that it might have been a loss. But anyway,
no, it could have been a draw even this game, because Zenit missed a really open goal. Right.
Well, I'm sure Chelsea missed a few open goals as well. Was Werner playing? Or did he miss? No,
Werner did not play. So we did not miss any open goals this time around.
Yeah, no, but it's hard to say. But I think Chelsea have got that defensive solidity. I've always had that defensive solidity, and now I think the fact that they've got a player who can maybe take 1 or 2 chances that come their way, it makes a big difference. It really does. Which reminds me, actually, I forgot to talk about Aaron wan-Bissaka's red card, which. Again, it's one of those where the slow motion, it looks like a red card, and then but you don't actually know how much the player was actually hurt, because he was really play acting a lot. But it did change the game. I think that's something that is obvious there. But let's just, it's not a lot much to talk about Chelsea, because I think it was a very functional, very routine win. It's not routine, but it was a functional game. And I think
it was a mechanical win.
Yeah, but I think again, what it shows is how settled Chelsea are, and I think that's what you want to see as a team is someone settled. Gaurav, let's talk about Barcelona against Bayern Munich. Now, I think Bayern Munich, for me, are probably the only team that can challenge Liverpool, Chelsea, and City for the title. Obviously, it's only one game. We don't want to make too many conclusions, but I think if you were to ask me the 4 favorites for the Champions League, it would probably be Bayern, City, Chelsea, and Liverpool in no particular order. But I think those would be my 4 picks. How much? It's incredible to see Bayern Munich, right? As how we talk about Chelsea being settled and all that, but Bayern Munich there's no transition period at Bayern Munich, is it? It just keeps the machine keeps rolling and rolling and rolling. Just goes on. Players just keep coming and going, but they just do so well.
Yeah, because they buy all the best players from Bundesliga.
Well, even that, but even still, it's even if you buy the best players, there's no transition period. It's just like everybody just settles in together, and I just think that they manage it very well. Like, even though they buy players, they just manage it very well. And that's what I think. But
the only time they struggle, I think, is when they're like 2 or 3 players that are out injured. And Sané is also finding his form back. He was struggling last season. He was in and out of the team, but he has been really good this season. He was really good in the international break as well for Germany. So they actually have as you said, probably favorites along with Chelsea this season, because they are really solid at the back, just like Chelsea are, and same good finishers and really good wingers as well. So.
Gaurav, Chelsea and Bayern are favorites. Totally. I believe I buy it. I buy what you're selling. Chelsea, yeah, there's another team there in blue that's probably in the back of everyone's mind. Yeah, Chelsea.
Yeah, if
Bayern.
if we had managed to bought Kane, then I would have put City up there.
You know,
as well.
I'll talk
But
about City because I actually have some very interesting question about City to talk about. We'll keep that. Nishikant, Barcelona. I mean, okay, so it's one game. They lose 3-0. I mean, the fact is it's concerning that they didn't get any shots on goal or shots on target, all of that. They actually have had a decent start of the season, but it's gonna take time. It's just gonna take time for them to get back.
So yeah, they have had a decent start of to the season, but then they haven't really played a proper team in La Liga, right? They have played teams you would expect them to win, even without having a very good squad. Now against Bayern, I think they had a lot of players injured. They had the Martin Braithwaite injured. They had like 2-3 injuries. Even Jordi Alba was not properly fully fit. He played and now he's injured for like, I don't know, 15 days or 10 days or something like that. I'm forgetting now one more player, Pedri. Pedri also got injured, right? He also wasn't properly fully fit and he played, right? So they also did not, their squad was depleted, right? So you can't really.
Fati as well. I think he's not being.
Fati, yeah, and so Fati was also, yeah. So their squad was depleted. So it's no surprise that they lost to Bayern, right? And I really, personally, I don't expect them to do, anything surprising this season in La Liga as well. They'll win against like teams like Espanyol and all those teams that you would expect them to win against. But when they come across Atletico Madrid or Real Madrid, I don't expect them to win. They simply do not have the team for that.
Yeah.
Also do not have the coach for that. So but now you mentioned Bayern, and I think one of the point that Gaurav made, they buy players from Bundesliga, right? They buy best players from Bundesliga. Not very often you would see them going to some other league and buying a player, right? So that certainly helps because you're buying a player who is familiar with the league, speaks the language, right? So that really helps them gel well together with the team. And on top of that, they have a really good coach, Hansi Flick. But at the same time,
they don't have Flick anymore, but it's now
Nagelsmann.
Nagelsmann now. Yeah.
Nagelsmann. Yeah, my bad. Nagelsmann, who's
we all forgetting things. That's okay.
We saw RB Leipzig, right? They reached semifinals under him, right? So apart from the choice of Blazers, he's a fantastic coach. His play.
Does his choice of Blazers affect his coaching ability? I wonder, because if it does, then Pep Guardiola is a really bad coach because he doesn't even wear a blazer most of the time.
No, it doesn't. It just catches eyes. It's egregious. Sometimes I feel like what the hell is he wearing?
Pep actually talked about this, after the first season, after actually the Centurion season. He said in his first season at City, he was always properly dressed, always suited and booted properly. And he said his wife told him to, get all these formalities out of the way and focus on the coaching and the team. And that's
so then Pep realized that no fans are coming to watch anyway. So what's the point of
Okay, anyway, yes, sorry, you were making an important point.
But I still think they are very dependent on Lewandowski. Right? And it kind of it kind of showed against PSG last season when they did not have Lewandowski and they lost. They have a really good team, but I think if there is a game where Lewandowski has a off day, which is extremely rare, or if he gets injured, then I think again Bayern Munich can suffer. But if Lewandowski is in top form, right, then it'll be very difficult for anyone to stop Bayern.
Yeah, it's funny how Bayern Munich have Thomas Muller, who once upon a time was a stone cold finisher.
Yeah.
Could score a goal pretty much from anywhere.
He scored a goal last game. I don't know how this season will go for him. But if he starts...
he's now pretty much a creative midfielder as opposed to being a striker or winger. But there was a time when...
If for any reason Nagelsmann can make him replicate his form of the past, then that's another thing to worry about.
Yeah, it's funny, isn't it, how things work out these days. Muller is not. But anyway, I think Bayern against Barcelona. I do like Barcelona's young talent core, though. I mean, I feel that they're in a much better position than Real Madrid at this point in terms of their young talent. Like they've got Mingueza, they've got Araujo, They've got who's the other guy? I forget. Well,
Pedri.
Gavi, Puig, Pedri. They've got. I think there's another defender that I'm forgetting, but there's also Dest, who's also very good. And then you've got Fati, who hopefully will recover from his injury and do well as well. But Trincao, I guess, is unknown. He might not make it. But I mean, there's so much.
They have good
don't
young
really need to-
players, but
Yeah.
at the top level, when you're playing Champions League game against the likes of Bayern Munich or Manchester City or Real Madrid, right?
Yeah, it's gonna take time.
You
It's
need
gonna-
that experience.
Yeah, it's gonna take time for them to get together. Hopefully, they
Yeah.
will have the patience. I mean, Moriba has already left, but hopefully they will all have that patience to work together. But we will see.
They'll need a new
Uh,
coach, though. I mean, we are talking about an Everton reject coach.
Well, yes. I mean, in some ways, yes. But then, I mean, Tuchel is a PSG reject. You've got.
Yeah, PSG
you know.
reject and Everton.
He's also a Dortmund
and
reject in some ways because Dortmund fired him.
Yeah,
as well,
but-
so obviously fell
yeah.
off, but-
But again, Dortmund is a top club. PSG, he got them to a European final, their first ever and only European final till date, right?
Yeah, I mean,
Only, or
yes.
have
No,
they
not
been
the, well, the
no.
Champions League final, probably only, yes. But they have been
Yeah,
in European
probably.
finals before.
Champions
Other
League
than-
final, only Champions League final, right?
Yeah.
So
Anyway, well, I mean, yes, I mean, it's hard to say, but yes, we will see what Koeman does. Got a quick note on another player because we've talked about a big clubs, but here's a player. There's a lot of talk about Phil Foden. There's a lot of talk about Jack Grealish. You know, there's all these young players that are coming through. Jude Bellingham, as I like to call him, Dude Bellingham sometimes. He's someone to watch out for. I mean, him and Camavinga actually, but those two are probably going to battle it out in that midfield supremacy stakes because sensational players, both of them.
Yeah, definitely. And to be honest, I think Liverpool and City are both linked with him in the last few days, and I actually see him moving to, next year or maybe a year after that. But as you said, a brilliant talent. I mean,
yeah,
he plays. His playing style is kind of similar to Foden. You know, I hear exactly likes to play in the midfield.
he does play a bit deeper though, right? Compared to
Yeah.
Foden.
Yeah, he's more of a box-to-box central
Yeah.
midfielder.
Foden actually was also a.
He reminds me a bit of Yaya Toure, actually. I think he's probably more Yaya Toure than
Yeah.
Phil Foden.
I mean, I remember Jose Mourinho, before these Euros, he was part of the TalkSport panel.
Mhm.
And Mourinho said that Jude Bellingham is probably the best box-to-box midfielder that's around right now.
That's a high
So
praise.
that's a
indeed.
huge
Yeah.
compliment coming
Yeah,
from
especially for
Jose
attacking
Mourinho.
midfield and for anybody who plays in a bit of offensive role. But yes, I think he's a great talent. I always sign him for my FIFA 21 teams because he's cheap and very good. So that's always a good indicator of someone being good when you sign them for your FIFA teams. But yes, he's someone. I still can't believe how United didn't sign him 2 years ago when they did give a tour and all that. I think that's just something that is sad, and I think that's something that United may live to regret in years to come. But yes, I think Liverpool probably needs someone like him. City probably, City don't need someone like him, but then it doesn't matter, right? When they need they have money to spend.
Well, maybe we do need. Gundogan is like 30, 31, so he'll probably be,
yeah, maybe a replacement
need
for
replacing,
Gundogan.
couple of years.
That's
but maybe.
possible. Yes. Well, yeah. So
Yeah, I've heard Chelsea are interested as well.
Well, I think every club is
Everyone,
it's like Haaland,
everyone
right?
is.
It's like
Yeah.
Haaland. Every club is interested. Why would you not be interested in an English young player that is potentially a good player who's gonna give you years and years of service? Why wouldn't you be interested if you're an English club?
Yeah.
I'm sure every club is interested. But anyway, that's one to keep an eye on along with Erling Haaland, I think. All right, let's move on to the next day fixtures, and I think we'll talk. I mean, Real Madrid 1-0. I think it was a little bit nondescript. Inter Milan. I mean, that's not the club. I mean, it's a good way to talk about some of the clubs you don't talk about. But Nishikant, Inter Milan, champions of Italy, so to say. But there's issues. I mean, for them. I mean, they probably will. They didn't get through the group stage last year. And then they're gonna have a fight on their hands this year as well, just with the players that have gone.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah. I mean, they've lost two of their best players, Hakimi and Lukaku, right?
Yeah.
Probably one of the best right backs and one of the best center forwards.
and they lost their manager.
And they lost their manager.
And
yeah,
they
of
lost
course.
Ashley Young. I mean, that's no problem.
Yeah, but
no. But yes,
that's probably a good thing. Yeah.
No, he's not that bad. But anyway, no, I understand. Yeah.
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 But yeah, I mean, so far their start has not been bad in La Liga. If I remember, they have won their Serie A. My bad. Serie A. So they have won their games. I mean, they're still champions of Italy. So and clearly they did. I mean, they lost against Real Madrid, but it it wasn't like one-way traffic or anything, right? So
Yeah, the finishing was bad. I think that's where
yeah,
they were missing a
yeah,
Lukaku, perhaps a striker to score goals.
yeah, they're
Somebody else.
missing a Lukaku or
Yeah,
yeah,
that's what
but
100
you
million
know,
pounds does. It
yeah,
buys you a player that scores goals for you, and it takes away a player from another team that scores the goals for them. So turns
yeah.
1-0 results around. But
Yeah, exactly. I mean, that's that 1-0 that probably we got last night, which they didn't, right? But they've got Edin Dzeko, right?
yeah, I think they got Dzeko. They've still
Yeah,
got Lautaro Martinez, another good
Yeah.
player
yeah.
in squad.
Martinez
Lautaro
is there,
Martinez is
and
someone who always confounds me because he's somebody who's always linked to big clubs, but never actually makes the move. It doesn't ever
yeah.
seem like a
I
player.
think he's a good second striker. He's not someone who can lead the line, right? He needs a big striker along with him, so, much like Werner, right? I don't think they are players who can lead lines. But yeah, I mean, I'm not too big on their coach as well. I can't, I don't think he's that experienced at top level, right? I mean, to be able to.
Inzaghi.
But then again, even with the experience, Antonio Conte hasn't done jack shit in Champions League, right? I mean, wherever he plays, he almost always wins the domestic league, but his Champions League record has never been that great, and we saw it with Inter as well, right? So you never know. They were not. I wouldn't say they were too bad. If anything, the kind of players Real Madrid had on paper, Real Madrid has a better team than Inter Milan. So it's probably reflects more on Real Madrid negatively than it does on Inter Milan, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean they did lose, and I don't think a lot of people are expecting them to do that great anyway. But in terms of the team that they have got, I think Dzeko and Martinez can link well together. I mean, Dzeko is a fantastic striker, right? So he's old though, and there is this thing with Milan teams of buying old players and then still making them do well. So I wouldn't be surprised if they do well. But last match specifically, I think it reflects negatively more on Real Madrid than it does on Inter Milan.
Yeah, I think for Inter Milan, the fact is the third team probably will be Shakhtar Donetsk, but they lost to Sheriff. So, this does seem that there is it should be fairly smooth for them to get through. But anyway, you never know. Maybe
even if it go down to Europa League and maybe end up winning it, that would still be a great result for Inter.
Yeah. Somehow Italian teams don't do that well in the Europa League for some reason. But even when they do well in the Champions League. But anyway, one to keep an eye on as well. Let's talk about the two English teams to round this up. Let's start with Liverpool first because it was a maddening game. 1-0, 2-1, 3-2. I mean, it just it goes. I mean, what I just feel Gaurav though is the one thing I noticed is Anfield when it's full. It's something, isn't it? I think they missed the crowd last season. And Liverpool missed the crowd. They have it now, at the back. It really makes a difference, doesn't it? Having a full Anfield when you're playing, Liverpool, as opposed to just playing, in an empty crowd. It just makes the difference, doesn't it?
Yeah, definitely it does. I think they have the best atmosphere in the Premier League when the stadium is full, the fans are there, and they actually pour their heart out. They're all, even if they're losing, they're always cheering the players, which is something I think a lot of teams lack. Even I mean, Old Trafford is a really big stadium, a lot of fans as well. But at times when United are playing bad or if they are losing, you could feel it from the crowd, the tension from the crowd. Same with City if the stadium is full. But Liverpool, the fans are brilliant. The local fans, they're always behind the team, and even when they're losing. So it definitely helps.
They probably have the best atmosphere. They're
very European in that sense. Liverpool are very European.
Compared to I think Old Trafford is not that big as well. It's not as big. Right?
I think it's 60,000, 56. Yeah, so it's not a big stadium. It's 50, 60,000 people. I think it's in the same.
And fans are close
built in such a way.
Full Anfield is like hell for opposition teams. They and I agree with what Gaurav said. They will continuously make noise. It doesn't matter if they're losing. Doesn't matter if they're winning. They'll continuously be backing their team and make it harder for the opposition.
Yeah,
that's why I mean I don't know if I can't remember. like I said, at least when talking in our Facebook group, that the draw against Liverpool with 10 men is almost as good as a win elsewhere, because at a full Anfield, being able to hold on to that kind of result is an impeccable job. And we saw what happened yesterday. Milan were leading at one point. Mo Salah had missed a penalty. Milan were leading, but the fans fans continued to back their players up. The players' head didn't drop, and they ended up winning it. That's how they overcame that 3-0 deficit against Barcelona as well, right? Who would have expected them to overcome that kind of deficit?
Yeah, that's true. Nishikant, it's been 2.5 weeks. I think we can move on from the Chelsea Liverpool game now. I think I've been trying to chew on everything. And no, but
No, I mean, yeah.
no, I get it. Yeah, it's a nice moment. But I mean, talking about the game itself, though, Nishikant, I mean, 2 goals conceded. I mean, they scored 3, which is good, which shows that they're starting to get into an attacking rhythm. They also scored 3 against Leeds, so that's good. But those 2 goals conceded will be a bit of concern. Maybe the fact that Milan were able.
It would be. I mean, it's a happy moment for me, and that's one of the things I see the game, and the first thing I see, okay, Liverpool are going to concede goals. Right? They are conceding too, so it's you can't score against them, right? So that's one thing that gives hope to me as an opposition, right?
Yeah.
That this is a team that can leak goals, and that maybe one day Mane and Salah doesn't click, they don't click, and then they don't really have a backup who can score. Right.
They were without Van Dijk, na? Liverpool.
Yesterday?
Yeah, Van Dijk didn't play, I think.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Well, even I mean, I guess that makes a big difference. But again, that's the same thing, though. Not having Van Dijk.
Yeah,
makes a big
but then
difference.
if Van Dijk is not there, then you concede 2 goals.
Yeah. When is the Everton game? When is Sean Pickford playing?
I mean,
against
they'll make sure Van Dijk plays against the big teams, right? They'll for sure make sure that Van Dijk plays against the big teams. But what happens when he doesn't play against Leeds United or against a Brentford or a Leicester or an Everton, and they concede that goal and they can't make, bridge that deficit? That would benefit rivals, right? So that certainly gives me hope. But again, from a neutral perspective, it was a great game, right?
Yeah.
Ultimately, Salah scored, and I think the form he's in, he'll probably have a 30-goal season maybe this time around, right?
Yeah.
He's again in incredible form. Mo Salah,
expanding his feet.
Yeah, it would be scary if Liverpool go out in winter or maybe, if not this season, maybe next season, and buy proper backups for Salah and Mane, then they could be a very scary team.
It's always difficult, isn't it? How do you buy a quality backup? Like, how do you buy one? Like, what they would want to sit on a bench, right? I mean, unless you're City and you can throw money at it, maybe they get out, or PSG for that matter. Where they've got Icardi and those guys at backup. Sorry, I'm taking too many takes at City, but yes, but it's difficult.
That's what you got to do if you want to buy a proper. I mean, by proper, I don't mean you have to buy a world-class player, but someone who can score. Because Klopp in general doesn't buy. Apart from Van Dijk, if you see Mohamed Salah or Sadio Mane or Diogo Jota and these kind of players, these were not established names, right? Jota came from Wolves. I mean, he had a great season with what's the Jimenez? What's the name of the Jimenez? He had a great season there, but he is not someone who tends to go for very big names, and he develops those players really well. Right. So who knows, he can buy if he buys a player who he can develop and make them into a lethal finisher, someone who could, come on when Salah or Mane is injured, then that'll be disastrous for other teams.
Yeah. Well, he's been trying to do that with Minamino. That didn't work, but maybe somebody else is available. It'll be interesting to see. All right, let's just wrap this up. Final one, Manchester City against, who did they play again?
Leipzig.
Yes, Leipzig. That's on paper, that's a big clash, but I mean, Leipzig are not the team that they were last season. Unfortunately, lots of departures. It finishes 6-3, like in the spirit of the US Open tennis competition. I think that City was giving a little bit of a tribute to Emma Raducanu, I think, with that 6-3 performance. But Gaurav, I mean, for the last 5-6 months, I've been hearing about how Gabriel Jesus is not a great striker. He's shit. He's all of these things. He's turned up this season. He scored what 4-5 goals. He's scoring goals. For a shit player, he's not bad. He can score goals. He's not a bad player. I mean, what Arsenal fans trolling us? Is that like? I mean, is that one of those things, when everybody's a 95 and then you have somebody who's an 88 or an 89, so he's shit? Is that kind of thing?
The thing is, the amount of chances we create last season, nobody in Europe missed more clear-cut chances than Gabriel Jesus. Actually, this was a stat. So his record is actually pretty good. If you see the number of goals and assists he has and the total games he has played, you would say that it's a really good record. But sometimes in some games, it's really, really frustrating. And maybe playing as a winger has helped him this season. It takes off that pressure that you have to score in every game, or 2 goals in 3 games, something like that. So maybe that has helped him as well.
And maybe that's the position that suits him, right? And Pep has finally figured that out. That's why he didn't let him go this season. I think there were some offers that for Jesus, right?
Yeah.
So
I also think he plays very
but
well.
Still, one good news: City
up.
did concede 3 goals.
Yeah, that's another one, isn't it? They can see 3 goals as well. I mean, that's was John Stones playing in this one, or was it still the Porto players, right?
Ake and Diaz.
Okay, yeah. Ake and Diaz. Oh, Ake played. Yeah, well, that makes sense.
Nathan Ake unfortunately lost his father yesterday.
Yeah, that's sad thing. But yes, he did score a goal. I've heard. So he did have a good game offensively, but that's a sad condolences to Ake and his family, of course. But on that note, I think 3 goals conceded, very interesting part. But I mean, it makes sense if Ake played. Defensively, I don't think.
But apparently, UEFA's Defender of the Year plays and concedes 3 goals. Right? So I just wanted to bring that up. Because there was a team last season
did you just want to bring that up? Was there something else? Do you feel somebody else should have been?
The another point I want to bring that up is that there was a team last season that conceded 4 goals in entire Champions League and won the Champions League as well. But UEFA Defender of the Year has conceded 3 goals in a game.
Well, every season is different. We conceded like 1 goal last season in the complete group stages, I think.
Yeah, but you guys play AC teams in the group stages, so it's not
group stages.
Not this season, apparently.
Not this season, but last season was a very easy group. I mean, this season, I feel it's actually a little bit of a tough group. If Leipzig had their players, it would have been a tough group. But I think it's going to be. We guys are going to finish first because PSG suck. But anyway, PSG, there's another team to talk about as well. But anyway, 6-3. I guess we talked about Gabriel Jesus. The 3 goals conceded is a little bit of a concern, but I know there was a lot of talk about Rodri not playing that well. Gaurav, can you shed some light on that? What do you think of Rodri?
I think it was more of Gundogan. We were missing Gundogan in that midfield. Bernardo and De Bruyne are more of a attacking midfield. They can play that number 8 position, but I think Gundogan does a really good job. If you look at the game, he might not seem to be doing that defensive part really well, but he actually cuts that lines of pass. He also wins possession high from the midfield. So I think Rodri missed him. He plays really well alongside Gundogan. So he was also, I think he is carrying a knock or something, because he went down a couple of times in the game, and both the goals was actually mistakes from the defenders. The lack of concentration, all that stuff.
Don't talk about.
How do you think Nathan Ake has been for you guys? Because
to be honest, I think last season was like the whole season he was out injured, and even this season whenever he played alongside Mendy on his left, so he actually had to cover up 2 positions, play as a left-sided center back and also as a wing back at times. So that certainly hasn't helped them. So maybe if he plays alongside Diaz and Cancelo, on the left, maybe that would be the right time to judge him. Like, I wouldn't judge him right now.
Yeah, let's see if he gets that opportunity to play. Nishikant, final thoughts on City. Jack Grealish looks like he's finally settling in very well at Manchester City. He's starting to have an impact. Would you expect £100 million again? You'd expect that, but he's doing it. He's doing the job for City.
Yeah, I mean, the market is inflated, and especially when it comes to homegrown players, right, in English league. So 100 million pounds is not something unexpected. It's what you would expect for. I mean, West Ham are asking same money for Declan Rice, right? And he's a defensive midfielder and sometimes plays as centre back. Jack Grealish was always one of the most productive attacking players in the league, right? In terms of dribbles and in terms of chances created, take-ons, etc. He was very productive. You wouldn't rate Declan Rice that kind of. You wouldn't see that kind of, or even among the defensive midfielders or centre backs, you wouldn't probably rate Declan Rice that high, right? But still, he's being, they are putting a price tag of that 100 million or 80 million around him. So no surprises that Jack Grealish cost 100 million for City. But yeah, I mean, I as much as I had hoped that he wouldn't shine for City and he would probably flop just like many other opposition fans, I'm not surprised that he's settling down, and I think I fully expect him to be one of the standout players in this season for Manchester City, because he's a really good player. He had a very good Euros as well. Whether he came on as a substitute or whether he started, he performed really well even in the Euros. So no surprises there. I fully expect him to do really well. Now he's surrounded even with very capable players compared to what he had in Villa. So I only see him doing better than what he had done before.
Yeah, I think he's a class player, Jack Grealish. He
Yeah.
really is, and it's a good purchase for Manchester City for sure. We're going to end on this, but I forgot we should talk about PSG very quickly, because I think it's the first time in the Champions League that you get to see Neymar, Messi, and Mbappe starting together, but they still only managed to draw. Again, the issue is not the front line; it's that midfield, isn't it? They don't really have they have players who have got to do a lot, defensively, and somewhere Pochettino is going to have to figure that out, because either he's got to tell those three in the front to do a little bit of tracking back, or he's got to maybe beef up that midfield. He's got to do something differently, because it's not working out for him, at least not in the big games.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I don't think front three is going to track back, right?
Yeah, but I mean, somewhere
Messi and Neymar.
Yeah, Messi and Neymar have never tracked back. They won't. And I wouldn't really even ask Messi to track back. You just do what you want to do as long as you can score goals. But if Verratti doesn't play, their midfield is toothless, right?
But
and
then
that
also
is down
the problem
to
is like you have Hakimi on the right? So he's more of a wing back than a conventional fullback. So that also creates a problem.
Correct. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean the goal came from midfield. Herrera was one who scored the goal, so the goal even came from. It didn't come from the front; it came from the midfield. So, it's an issue, because if you're going to have so much attacking, then the midfield really has to do a lot of work defensively, and they don't seem to have a lot of serious. And Wijnaldum is not really a proper defensive midfielder. Herrera is not a proper defensive midfielder. As Nick Nishikant said, Verratti probably is, but I don't think he's like that defensive hard man. He's more of a deep lying playmaker. So they have a lot of passers, not a lot of ball winners in that team.
What they need is someone who can organize that midfield, right? Coach gives the instruction in the dressing room, but now with fans back, what they are shouting from sideline is barely audible, right? So you need that kind of player who can give instructions to others that, be in this position or do this or do that, right? They don't really have anything like that. And if history is anything to go by, we have Galacticos as an example. Teams with all the superstars doesn't necessarily mean they will win a lot, right? And I fully expect this PSG team to be one of those, right? Also runs instead of world conquerors.
That's true. I mean, to be fair,
there's a clip circulating in social media where Messi has the ball and everyone else is just standing and looking at him. PSG players, right? Rather than making runs and dragging defenders along, or at least getting into the position where he can pass in a meaningful way that could result in something meaningful. None of them are doing that. And I wouldn't even blame the coach here, because if you are at this level, regardless of what is being coached, you have to use some amount of your brain. You know that there are certain situations, doesn't matter what system you have, Doesn't matter who's playing. If someone has a ball and you want to score, then you make a forward run. You try to create space. That's football 101, and even that's not happening.
I also think their midfield is kind of overrated. I mean, apart from Verratti, they don't really have that creative midfielder. Someone like Fernandes that United have, or Pogba, or City have De Bruyne, or Chelsea have Jorginho and Kovacic. They sort of lack that creative midfielders, kind of similar to what Liverpool. Maybe if they signed Fabinho instead of Wijnaldum, that would have helped them a little. Sort out that.
I think they probably signed Wijnaldum to be that kind of defensive.
But he isn't. He's not.
Yeah, he's more of a box to box. I think Wijnaldum is a box to box player. I think same with Herrera. Draxler is more of a number 10, but you don't really need a number 10 if you're going to have Messi. You can't carry a Draxler if you're already carrying Messi, Neymar, and Mbappe. You can't afford to carry a Draxler. Di Maria same. Sometimes he plays on the wings, sometimes he plays in midfield. But again, you can't afford to carry him. It just feels like there are players that need to be carried defensively in this team, but there's nobody who can carry them. Like it just feels like there's nobody who can carry them.
I think they could try Messi at the number 10 position, give him sort of that free role and play someone who will track back on the right wing, maybe Draxler or Di Maria.
Yeah, no, I don't think either of them want to track back. I think it also
even at United, Di Maria never used to track back.
Yeah, well, but
that was one of the complaints.
Maybe Draxler.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if Draxler does that. I've heard that Draxler is lazy. That's what I've heard. So I don't know if he does that. Maybe he does. I haven't seen a lot of him.
Yeah, but thing with Draxler is right. He doesn't carry that big of a name. So if a coach says, "Boy, if you want to play, you need to track back," they can't say it to Neymar because Neymar will give you goals, Mbappe will give you goals, Messi will give you that kind of thing. So you can't tell them that if you don't track back, you don't play.
I think teams will also, target that right wing of theirs with Messi and Hakimi.
Yeah.
Just
play Hakimi as a right winger. I mean, just play
Pochettino
Hakimi as a
will
right
be
winger.
seen paving roads in 2022 World Cup in Qatar. That's gonna happen because he is not going to he's not going to make this team win anything. I simply don't see that.
But
they have big names, and that's all. They're great on paper, and that's
I mean, just the point. I mean, make play Hakimi as a right winger. I mean, he's got a decent cross on him. You can play him on the right wing, and then he tracks back, and you bring in a right back. Maybe that is an option. But
that would mean losing an attacker.
But they've got Messi at number 10. They've still got the 3 attackers, right? I mean, do they need more?
Play 5.
But who would you take off? So if your front 3 is Messi, Neymar, and Mbappe,
so to Gaurav's point,
take off to get?
No, but to Gaurav's point, you play Messi as a number 10. So then you've got that somebody on the right wing. So you play Hakimi on the right wing. So whoever in your midfield 3, you drop one of them and you bring in a right back. Who can play on the right. So, it could be, I mean, you could probably drop Herrera, probably seems the easiest option, but he's in form, but you rotate it around and you figure that out. I don't think it will happen, to be honest, Gaurav. I don't think Messi likes playing as a number 10, to be honest. I don't think he likes it. I think he likes playing on the right where, he's not crowded out by the center midfielders and he has a bit more space in the fullback. I don't think he likes playing that position. I know he can play it. I just don't think he likes it.
He knows. I think he knows that if he plays in the number 10 role, he will be surrounded by 3 or 4 players most of the time. So definitely doesn't prefer playing there.
Yeah, because I think Luis Enrique
he would rather come from wide into the central position.
Yeah, so I think Luis Enrique tried to play him as a number 10, and Messi almost got him sacked until he decided, I'll play on the right wing, and then they won a treble that season. But I think that's there. But anyway, that was Barcelona. This is PSG. We will see what happens. It's still very early to make predictions, obviously. I mean, who would have thought at the end of the first game last season that Chelsea were going to win the Champions League? So you never know what can happen. It's futile to make. Nishikant may have thought it, but
No, I never. I mean,
no, I know you did. Nobody did. Nobody thought Chelsea were going to win it last season. They're a good team, but nobody thought. So things change, things happen. But we will see. We'll keep an eye. I mean, of course, we've got game week 2 coming up as well. There's some actually tasty clashes coming up, not necessarily in game week 2, but we've got United against Atalanta to look forward to. We've got Chelsea and Juventus to look forward to. We've got Real Madrid against Inter again, but we also got City against PSG to look forward to as well. Those will be exciting games to watch, and of course, we'll keep an eye out on those for you.
I expect Pep Guardiola to school Pochettino that night.
Oh, well, or will Messi school Pep? That's a question.
No, I don't.
I think City. I think in a clash between City and PSG, I don't think you can look past City as favorites. I mean, as simple as that. They just have a better team. maybe it's PSG have better players, but City have the better
Yeah,
team. I think
City
as
had the
simple as
better
that.
team. City had the better
So-
coach as well.
Yeah. So I
No
don't
doubt.
think you can look past that. I don't know if it'll be schooled, and I don't know what school means, but it should be a win. The City should win 9 times out
I
of 10.
mean,
City should win.
Pochettino is a very good man manager, right? But he it's not complemented as well with his technical nous, right? He manages players really well, and they're willing to do everything for him. So he gets the best out of them in that sense. But tactically, I don't think he's the best. And at this point, I think in PSG, even if it's forget tactics, he just has too many big egos to deal with, and that's not healthy for any team, right?
Yeah,
Because
you
no
have
matter
big
whom
egos.
you play, you have a very big name sitting on the bench, and that guy is not going to like it, right?
Yeah.
So
Well, and then you need a manager who's got that catch. Zidane had it. Ancelotti has
Zidane
it.
had it. Ancelotti is known as the
Has it.
diva whisperer.
Pochettino
Yeah.
probably does not have it just because of the names. But anyway,
I think he's
Uh,
someone who will do, good at teams like Spurs or Everton, but
Yeah.
he's sort of
I mean, he can
struggles
build
with
a
bigger
team. He
teams.
can build a team, and he got Spurs to their only European final, right? So
well, again, only Champions League final. They have won the European trophy, so they've been in the European final
Okay.
before.
My bad.
So let's
Only
let's
Champions League final.
yes, that's
Right.
again.
And,
Just
and
as
probably the
know,
only
pedantic.
final in I don't know how long. So yeah, I mean, he does well with teams where he has, players whom he can grow and develop, and he did that with Spurs. And I think he should have never left Spurs. Had he stayed with Spurs, they would probably be
Well, they
in a
sacked
better
him, though.
place.
They were sacked.
They sacked him. So it's
Yeah,
not
sorry,
his
they
fault.
sacked him. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Daniel Levy and ended up buying Mourinho. So when I said he should have never left Spurs, I mean they shouldn't have ended that relationship, is what I meant.
Well, anyway,
So,
Spurs have moved
yeah.
on, and so we will be. So will be with this episode.
Spurs have moved down. Yeah.
Yeah.
And
yes. Anyway, thank you. We'll talk about the Premier League, and we've got Premier League shows coming up anyway, so we'll keep that on. But thank you so much, Gaurav. Thank you so much, Nishikant, for joining me today. Really appreciate your insights. We'll be back tomorrow with our Premier League preview show because we're going back again into the weekly grind. So we're going to be back again tomorrow with that one. So stay tuned for that. If you did enjoy this video, please remember to share a like and subscribe to the channel if you're new. I really appreciate that. And yes, and you can still continue to tell me what you think about this new merchandise that we've got. I got a few comments about it, but I hope to hear a little bit more as well. So the cameras isn't very good, right? It doesn't show it properly. So anyway, thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you again very, very soon. Take care. Have a good day or night. Bye-bye.